Hey guys, Jonathan Bowen here from Corsac Props, and today I'm going to start a kind of a series on laser smithing. We're that's what we've been calling the process of building and designing props for laser cutting. So what we're going to be doing is showing you how we made this guy. This is our Dwarven Dagger from Skyrim. It's kind of an awesome prop. I really kind of love how this came out. I'm really excited about about this, but unfortunately we have to kind of give it away because, well, that's what you got to do, because I committed to do that when I started filming all those videos and stuff. So, but I can always make my own. So if you want to win this, you just hang out to the end of the video. We'll have all the details there, and there's also a special prize. Everybody who, whether or not you win or not, is going to go ahead and get the blueprints for this bad boy, so you can build your own. And even if you don't win, and if you do build it, make sure you let us know. Here's some on Twitter, Facebook, somewhere. Let us know what you did and how you did it, and it would just be awesome to see what everybody does. So thank you very much for watching. Hang out as we get into Sketchup here, and we'll show you all how we do all this stuff.
Alright, so what we're doing here is dropping in canvas. Now this is just an image we dropped into SketchUp, and we're gonna scale it. We determined it was going to be about 900 millimeters long, and I don't really know how we came to that. It was a bad decision. So we ended up designing the entire thing 2 times too big, but we fixed that in the end, but unfortunately we didn't get much video of that. But this will give you an overview of the process, because we don't do much but scale it and then fiddle with it and make sure it works. So after we get everything all sized up, we want to go in and start layering in some of the designs and kind of figuring out how we're going to build this. Now, I don't do this a lot as far as going straight from an image like this, but this prop is fairly simple, but also I kind of want to make sure I get it right. So I'm just determining the different angles of the part, making sure everything is fitting right, and kind of comparing it. And I could just mirror this, but I don't want to do that because I want to make sure that my decisions are kind of close. So I am inputting the image, or the details of each angle and everything, so that they're all equal. But I don't have to just rely on a mirror. I can kind of look at the other side and go, yeah, I'm still kind of on from the other side of the prop. So that creates, first part. And now we're going to get into just doing some of these finer details, and we're going to dig around. And again, it's just more of the same, finding out how we're going to build it, what we're going to do. This is, kind of determining what the top layer part's going to be. And then we're going to move on to determining, the layer that's going to be smaller and run up to add that detail. So this is the top layer, and we're going to mirror this. There's going to be 2 of these, one on either side of the part. And I'm just trying to get the angle so they look right. And unfortunately, SketchUp doesn't allow different ways of adding angles and circles. Like, you have to just, circles are radii, so you can't enter a dimension, a diameter and things like that. So that can be frustrating at times, but you get used to it. So we're kind of tracing up here to do the same thing we did with the outer blade for the centerpiece here, to kind of get that profile so it looks right. And then we're gonna draw this center here, and this is all so we can have multiple layers of parts and get the depth we need. Right about here's where SketchUp gets weird. Now, we have created the outer profile already, even though you can't really see it, but it's not creating the outer plate like we need to. So you just got to fiddle with it, redraw some lines until it eventually recreates the face that you need. And now we're going to get into some of these details, and I'm not going to show us do all of this because it's just me doing this, tracing and tracing and tracing. And I want to make sure that I'm in a top-down view when I do this, so that I'm not getting any parallax with the image or anything. And it's just a matter of moving around the image, taking these various elements and capturing them so that we can have them. And I'm not really worried too much about how these are symmetrically and stuff, because they're just the small details and they just kind of have to be there, and they're sort of organic, you know. And anything that is doubled, we're going to go ahead and mirror to make sure that we get it exactly how we want it. And so fast forward here a little bit, and we're gonna, this is us now we're moving on to creating the actual pieces of the blade. And as you can see here, I put 2 elements on top of each other and I exploded them because I wanted to get this base piece here to be exact and create the grit or the cross guard of the blade. So we made that 6 millimeters. We're gonna make this 3 millimeters. I'm going to drop that on top and on bottom, and I'm layering these things out in the software so that I can kind of see how things are going to look and if I've got to change it. In fact, one part we do change later on, and we'll cover that. In fact, this part here, we extrude it to 3 millimeters, but we will be making it 6 millimeters by the end. It's just, it made it look heftier, and it gave us more material to chamfer down, because as you can see, it's kind of chamfered up there in the image. But at this point, I had kind of considered using Bondo, but decided against that once we started making it. Now, the styrene pieces, we usually make them about 1 millimeter thick in the software. I cut them from 2 mil or 20 mil styrene, which is 0.002 of an inch, 20 thousandths of an inch of styrene, and lost the thing right there. That's another thing I have a problem with Sketchup, is sometimes I'll be zooming and then everything will disappear on me. And we're just laying this out because this is going to help us kind of put in the circle and make sure that it's the right size and looks right for the little domed piece that goes in the center of this. And again, it's just so that I can kind of visualize and know this is where this is going to be, this is where that's going to be. We're going to make, you know, measure this piece and get it kind of ready, and we're going to use a center point. It's a plugin we have for this program. These are available if you look them up. And that creates our little dome. Now, I'm not going to chamfer that or anything in this. I need just a flat profile. We'll be doing that in physical space, so I just need to kind of know how it's all going to look and go together. And now we're trying to make decisions on how we're going to kind of build this whole grip piece here, because it's kind of complicated, and we ended up deciding to go ahead and pull out the top and bottom here, create this cross piece. And you'll see here in a second that we actually designed the little elements that go in there to sort of go around it. Again, this is at this point I was still thinking of doing Bondo in here to kind of fill it out, make it an oval itself, but it looks great otherwise, we decided not to do it. And, you know, with the scaling too, we had some issues. And the reason this is complicated here is because I can't just take this circle and scale it, squish it, and move it around, because it doesn't work like that for export. It never tells it it's not a circle. So then my software will export it, and I'll just get a circle again, which is frustrating. So I usually try to design it that way I can kind of know how it's going to be, and it's going to export exactly how I want it. Plus, we want it a little more rounded than an actual oval would be, so it's more of an ellipsoid, I guess, or something. So we're just trying to kind of get this inner profile, and we're going to expand that. But like I said, we end up just cutting all of this away and making it just press fit on there. And in hindsight, I actually should have made it a little bit bigger. And during the build process, it was quite hard to get them on. In fact, I broke a couple of them, but we just kind of glued them back together and made it look right. So again, we're using the offset tool to create this, and now we're going to line everything up. And this is where we have to make some decisions. How thick is this piece going to be? And we decided it was going to be about 6 millimeters. So, you know, that was based on, you know, measuring the part, kind of getting an idea of it. And so we have 3 millimeter acrylic or MDF and 6 millimeter MDF. So there's really only 2 options, other than having to sand each part down if I needed to get to 5 millimeters or something. And we've got this strap that's going to come down, so we want to go ahead and flatten the top of this, because that strap's going to lay in a groove, and it's going to make sure that it adheres right and it looks sort of flat. And we'll be doing all of this out of styrene that's going to lay on top. We'll get to that later because that's pretty complicated. And so now we're just figuring out how to place these where we want them and how many of them we need, how far apart they are. So that looks good for the ones we can see. Now we're going to create interior ones. And this is where some stuff starts to get sideways. So measuring it, kind of figuring it out. And I need these parts, you know, I know one's going to be up against the baseline. So we're going to put one up there. And as you can see, this part is bigger than the crossguard. And that doesn't look right. It just, and that's sort of, again, why I do this sort of design work inside the, you know, actually build it instead of trying to just do it all in 2D and kind of think about how it's going to be. And we end up not cutting that. We end up redoing that. So we make these two thinner because I was going to initially going to use foam and styrene for this part, but ended up just going with straight styrene because of foam, and that just wasn't a great idea. And it seemed to work out great with when we built the part. It looks fine, looks awesome. And this is where, you know, we're trying to figure out, okay, is it going to be thicker? Is it going to be, you know, which part am I going to enlarge? And I really decided that it's easier just to do this top and bottom piece, and that's, you know, what we went with. So now those are made out of 6mm instead of 3mm. And now we're gonna kind of make sure we've got everything. And as you can see, I missed one, but we'll put it back later. The pommel, we went and skipped all of that. That's just more of the same. And to be honest, a lot of it changed after we did the scale down. But now we're just trying to come up with these styrene pieces and work them in. And again, we've got this strap that goes the whole length. And as you saw, I tried to extrude that in, thinking maybe I would inlay it, but I decided just not to. And because this part was so much back and forth, we went ahead and moved everything around so it was closer to the actual canvas. But now we're going to sort of try to make that top piece. And this is where I decide that those two elements that I shrank earlier are not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of them. I had to draw a little line there so that I could create these pieces where, or those lines, those construction lines, so I could get them into place where I want them. And I use these construction lines a lot. They're really helpful. It's just, I think it's T on mine. I don't know if I've changed that. I know I had to change D to make them go away. So I added a command to delete them. Now we're extruding this. I went ahead and exploded it and extruded out the body. And we're going to use that to create a shell. So I want just the outside shell. So I'm going to select that and pull it away. Now I've got just a single, you know, face instead of an actual, like, filled out object. And I went ahead and expanded it because we're going to cut down in here, but then I realized, oh wait, I'm going to need another one of those. So instead of modifying it, making another one, I just went ahead and copied it over there for later. And this is where things get weird. We go to the top view, so we make sure we're perpendicular to the part, but it just wouldn't draw this element. What we're trying to do is create a piece that's going to show us what we need, but I can't get it to create the face, and that's usually problematic if something's out of square. So, you know, something's just not working here. So I ended up going ahead and drawing it again, and you might have been able to see it right there. It actually drew the circle, or the arc, downward. That's not what we need. So now now it's away from the part, I can create one on the plane that is, and that'll give me my surface. Now I'm going to extrude that. And this is going to be two components. We want to componentize these because once they touch each other, they'll get weird if they're not. But once we get them in position, we're going to explode everything. And then we need to intersect, select everything, intersect with selection. And as you can see, it created some issues. So now we're going to have to clean this up, and this is where it gets to be a pain. So delete all the extraneous data, and it's sort of problematic here. We're going to, try a couple things, creating a new face. Actually, right there, if you use the push-pull command, you saw it move the whole face. If you push control, it will create a face. It'll create a sealed object. And this just wasn't working. We, playing with it, and it's just not working. So we decided to, here in a bit, to delete most of it and just pull a new object through and cut it. And you see it causes the same problem again. So now we go in and delete all of the stuff we don't care about. Which happens to be that interior line. So what it is the outside edge is giving us problems. So once everything gets, out of the way, now we can pull that part through and go through and delete, and now we've got our shell just like we want it, and that'll be handy when we unfold it later. So now we've got to think about how to do the next part. So we make that a component again so it doesn't get messed up, and we'll put it back in place, and then we're gonna create the middle piece here. And this is sort of an inverted arc, as you can see there. So it arcs different, opposite of the other one. So we're actually we're gonna draw the shape we want this time and then extrude it through. I'm just sort of spitballing here with kind of getting it out, and we'll start to flush it out here in a second. But I just sort of need an arc that'll look sort of right. I ended up just not liking this at all, but once we get the right size, I'll go ahead and make new arcs that make sense. So we're close, but not quite. So we'll go ahead and make new arcs. Delete everything else. Now we're good to go. So we're going to pull this out, and we're going to, we need a second one of these because we're going to mirror it down. Make sure they're the same place, and now we're going to extrude them through the other part. And then we've got to explode it, and again with the intersection, and we'll go ahead and delete everything out. And what this has created is a new part that is rather dirty, and it happens in SketchUp a lot with me because it's just, we're doing things that it really shouldn't be doing, and there may be a better way to do this. I just haven't figured it out yet, but we want to make sure we get rid of all of this extra data. And we've turned hidden views on to figure out which lines we can and can't delete. And as you can see, some of them destroy the face, so that's bad. But the cleaner it is here, the better it is for when we unfold it. And now we're just going to, extrude that part, and we've got our shell. So that's how we want it. So get rid of that guy. Unfortunately, it had some hang-arounds. And that's it. That's pretty much the whole design right there. And what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and go over here at the end the unfolding process, I've got to add another one of those guys to make sure that this part has something to support it. But the unfold process uses a plugin called Flattery, and I use this a lot for this kind of stuff, and it's really, really great for making, you know, styrene or foam parts that are going to fold. And so we're going to clean this up as best as we can before we start unfolding it. I need to create that bottom part. And now we're going to explode it, turn on the hidden view, or hidden lines view. And how this does, it just connects each face next to itself and allows you to unfold these big giant parts. And that's awesome, but it's also, you know, problematic, because as you can see, we can't quite get all the parts, but, you know, we can make everything sort of, make all the elements at least in that atom back together. So now we're going to explode this and make it flat on the red plane. Do the same with this guy, and then we'll be able to add it to the part. And once we get all these elements in here, it's gonna allow us to, you know, cut this out of styrene and fold it over the part. Now, there's something going on I really haven't quite figured out. We do end up usually having a part be just a smidge off, and it takes some trial and error sometimes to get it right, but for the most part, this works great most of the time. So we're also going to go in here and extract all of these extra lines, because if I export that to the laser cutter, it's a disaster. It's just so much harder to clean up over there. And that about wraps it up. That's our Dwarven Dagger from Skyrim, and we'll go ahead and slice this up and get it ready for laser cutting.
Thank you all for watching and hanging out while we designed this. Hopefully everything made sense. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments below. We'll be monitoring this video pretty heavy, so we can get there and answer any questions you might have. Our next videos, we're going to be laser cutting it, so we have all this awesome video of laser cutting it, and even a small fire. But if you want to see that, you'll have to get to the next video. So we'll be posting that in about a week, and obviously you've made it to the end, so you've earned something. So that's the chance to win this. Yes, we're still getting it away, even though it's only been 10 minutes ago since I talked about it. This is our Skyrim Dagger again, and if you want this guy, you need to click over here. This is going to take you to our website. There's going to be an entry form, all sorts of stuff. And on that page too, you're going to be able to download this PDF for free. And that's going to show you basically all the parts and pieces you need to build this. And if you do build it from our blueprint, we'd love to see it. We'd love to, know what you did with it, how you did it, and what materials you used and other things like that. So go ahead and click over there and get your free blueprint. Enter to win this guy, and we'll love to see you in the next video.